In this video, we're going to be setting up a 2D platformer, and I'm going to be asking for your help. First thing I'm going to do, just getting started here, is I'm going to create a new project. We're going to do a 2D project. I'm just going to call it platformer. And I'm going to put this in my source location. All right. So then inside this folder, we're going to put our game. It's a platformer. So I'm going to hit create there. So today we're going to be setting up the level structure for this platformer. But in the next video, we're going to need a character. So in the comments below, vote for whatever character you want me to use a sprite for, so that I have something to use to show animation in the next video. So while this is loading, I'm not sure how long this will take for this to initialize, but I saw these at Walmart. I guess they're exclusive to Walmart. It's the Master of Heroes Action Collection. I was like, okay, well, this is cool. I pretty much recognize everyone except for this dude that's up front, this skeleton, because I know all these guys of like Lockjaw, Beastman, Skeletor, Tila, He-Man, Orko, Many Faces, Man at Arms, and then I think this is Evil In. But then this dude was like, I have no idea who this is. So if anyone knows, let me know, because I have no idea who that is, and I've seen basically all of He-Man. So let's see where we're at. So we're still resolving packages here. So we'll catch this up as soon as this package is done. Okay, so here we go. We got the new scene loaded up. So this is a brand new project. If you've never seen Unity before, we've got this main area here with our scene and a game scene. Really, there's nothing there to see yet. We have this tree that we're going to be working with, and then we also have the inspector that'll show us the properties of what we're working with. And then down here we have this file explorer that'll help us pull in whatever information we need or whatever we're working with. So the first thing I'm going to do here is just create a new folder, and we're going to call this assets. And then I'm actually going to pull some of these other files that I have before. In my assets folder, I'm going to create another folder here, and I'm going to call this sprites. And inside this folder, I'm going to drop in this file and this file here. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're just going to put a background on the screen so we have something that we can start working with. So I am just going to drop this up here, and you can see now we have kind of the game camera here, which is this main camera. It's this outer box, and then we have this 2D image that we've got in the background that's kind of just showing there. But that's way too small for the camera that we have. So rather than messing with the camera, I'm just going to click here, and I'm going to scale this up by 10 and by 10. And we get pretty close there, so I'm going to change this by 6. By -6. And let's go down by -10. Pretty close. Alright, so we got there. So now we can see, if I go back, well, maybe I should have been looking at the camera. Okay, yeah. So I was right the first time. So if I went down by 6, we get some of the blocks, we get some of this upper area. So then in the scene, the box right here is going around that same area. So that's cool, except for if I zoom out here, you can see that we're actually in the middle of this level. So what I'm going to do is go to this camera here, and then I'm going to click right here to this move tool up here, and I'm going to pull this way back. And if you right click, you can actually drag the scene around, but I'm going to pull this back to about right there. So if I come back to the game scene, you can see that we're starting on the level, and we've basically set up our camera in a background, but there's nothing here. So the first and one of the things I'm going to do here is I'm just going to pull in the sprite. So I am going to open up this sheet, and then in here, so when dealing with the sprite sheet, you first click on the sprite sheet, and then we go to multiple here, and then we go into the sprite editor, and then you can slice these. I'm going to say just do automatic, and it kind of just finds some of these on the sheet here. I don't really care about all these, but it's just quick, so I'm just going to click slice and then apply. So that's going to go split up that image for me. And then what that does is when I expand here, it gives me some of these. So I just want something on the screen so that we can kind of get an idea of size. And let's see. I'm going to grab this guy right here, and I'm going to drag him up here. So he got put, let me also rename this. We're going to call this the player. And he got put somewhere crazy, I'm guessing. So I'm going to take him back over here and move him down just a little bit. And look back over here in the game scene. He looks quite a bit smaller than I'd like, so let's scale him up by 6 and 6. That's probably too big. Let's use that. So if we click on him back in the scene, we're going to zoom in on him. If you double click on something, you zoom in on it. So if we scroll that back out, put him right about there. So we have a sprite, we have a game scene. If we press play here, it's not going to do anything. It's just going to compile the game, and our game is going to be basically the sprite character sitting on a screen not doing anything because there's nothing to do. It's just a inanimate object. So and the one gotcha here is that once you press play, if you edit anything in game mode, it's not actually going to save those changes. You have to be out of that mode, or else you're kind of losing all that work. So just be careful about that. So I'm going to go back to the scene, and to prove to you that it's actually going to do something, I'm going to actually assign some properties to this guy. And in Unity, we have all these properties over here, like transform, that says where they're at, how you rotate them. There's the sprite renderer that we can actually, drag the sprite on here. You can flip and do some other things. But the area that we need is this add component. You can also get here through the menu at the top, but it's just easier down here. So in add component, we want to go to physics 2D, and we want to add two things. The first thing we're going to add is a box collider, so that we don't have to do a bunch of math later and figure out when this character runs into something. We're going to let the engine do that for us. And besides for a box collider, the other thing we're going to need is a physics 2D, and then it's called a rigid body 2D. So now that we've added those two items, those are going to tell Unity how this thing should interact with other things in the level. So if we go back to our game and play it, we now have a sprite, but you see right away, if I just double click on him, he keeps basically falling down through the world. So if I pause it and we look for him with our camera, while our camera's all the way down there, it's not going to show it. But basically, he just fell all the way down through the world. So there's a background, but there's nothing physically there that we've told the game about. So we're going to need to build a platform for him to stand on. So the easiest way to do that is I'm just going to go down here in our sprites folder and create a new sprite, and I'm just going to create a square. So we're going to just call this block for now. It doesn't really matter what it's called. And I'm just going to double click on that, and let me open it with something else here. So if we open it in Explorer, I'm going to edit it with Paint, just because hopefully I got Paint. Maybe I clicked on something else. Let's try again. Okay. So in Paint, we have a square that's super tiny. So I'm going to zoom all the way in here, and I'm just going to pick a color for this thing, and we're just going to make it green, and I'm going to save that. Okay. So we save that. So basically now we have the screen block here. So again, I'm just going to do pretty much the same thing, drag it up in the scene, and I'm just going to leave block in there for now. And I'm going to switch this back to where we started, this rectangle tool. Because now what we can do is, if we zoom out a little bit, we can just stretch this out and kind of rough this kind of shape into the level. And if I zoom out a little bit more, we can just drag this thing way over. Sorry. We don't have to be super specific, but we can just, you know, kind of put that in there. If we want another one, actually I'm not going to do another one yet. We'll get to that in a second. So I have this block, but I'm going to need the same components I had before on my character. So I'm going to go to the 2D physics, I'm going to grab the box collider, and then I'm going to grab the physics 2D rigid body. And the difference here is that we don't want this platform to fall. It's not supported by anything. We don't want to build a structure under it. So what we want to do is switch this from body type dynamic to static. Basically saying, don't make physics do anything with this. Just ignore it. Let other things interact with it, but ignore gravity for the most part. It's also like if it was like a car ran into it, it wouldn't move. It's basically nothing in the physics engine is going to touch it. So we now have a platform. So if I click the play here, we should have a character that just stands on the platform and nothing moves. So that would be fine. We could technically have a platform game, but we have one flat platform, which isn't too fun. So we're going to start adding a little bit more here. So I'm going to go back into my sprites, and right here we have these pipes. So I might as well just grab this pipe right here and plop it on the screen. So if I zoom in here and just kind of square this one up over the top, and we don't really care. We don't really care what the background has. That's just there to help us build out a level. We can do the same thing. We can go to our 2D physics here. We can add a box collider. We can also add the same rigid body. And then we also want to say, you know, make this thing static. So now we have two objects, and we could keep doing that same thing here. I'm gonna rename this to pipe. We could keep just dragging things in, adding those same two things, but it's kind of a hassle and a waste of time. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna create a new folder, and we're gonna call this prefabs. Because what you can do in Unity is you can actually grab both this block and this pipe and just drag them down here, and it's going to create one, and it's going to keep these defaults set from the one that we grabbed. So the block's going to probably be bigger than I like, but I'm just going to pull that down here too. And you can see that these changed from white, like these other ones up here, and they're now blue by default, I guess. That means that there's a prefab associated with it. So now if we take this prefab and move it over here, I'm just going to move the screen over a little bit. I can now change the size of this one, and I'm just going to ignore the fact that it's distorting it, but we've already got everything set here. If I do it again, we have two pipes set up, and if we come over here, we've basically set up all the pipes in this level. So I'm going to back up just a second. So you can see we've got a little bit more to do if we want to set up some more of these platforms. So if I grab this block here and I pull it on the screen, it's way too big. But I can shrink it down and then click apply here. I believe it's over here. Let's see. I'm not going to worry about that for the moment. So I'm just going to move it down here. We're just going to put some rough shapes in so that we have something to work with in the next video. And then I'm also going to I'm just going to take that one and do Shift D, or right click and duplicate. And I'm just going to grab that. Oops. And go back to this tool here. Just drag it over. And then I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to duplicate it again. So I'm going to duplicate this block right here. And just drag it across. So we basically have a level blocked out. And I'm going to do the same thing over here actually. So I'm going to grab another block here. And I'm just going to move it to approximately where these were, so we don't have to run all the way across the level. And I'm going to take another one and make it just super small, and we're just going to place it here right about there. And I'm going to grab that one again, duplicate him, and move him up over here. So we now have a level. We've got some other items in the level. I think, let me make sure there's actually a pipe there. Okay, so we have those pipes there. So now we've got our whole level blocked out. We have these blocks, we've got pipes, but they're all sitting in the same structure, which probably isn't very great, because you can see that we have, if I use a different tool here, if we have our first world block here, let's see, where is he at? So we have our first world block. I'm pretty sure it's this one. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's that one. Let's double check there. Okay, yeah, we can see it. So we have this block. I'm just gonna call it. I'm just gonna call it Earth. And we've got these other blocks that are hanging up. We could name those if we wanted to, but we have all these pipes, and I'm not gonna really name the pipes. I just want to make sure they all move together if I ever move this Earth thing. So I'm just gonna drag these all onto the Earth so that they're all grouped under it. And then I'm also gonna grab these other blocks that are up above it. So this block I'm gonna move. This one I'm gonna move. And let's see this other one. What is this one? That one? Alright, I was missing block 5. So now we have all of our things grouped. So now here, if I select this Earth, if I click this tool, I can now move everything together, and I don't have to deal with moving them all separately. So if I hit Control Z here, they've all moved back down together. That also means you can scale them, rotate them, do everything together. So grouping them is a good idea. I could also group these other blocks. Call this Earth 1 and Earth 2 and Earth 3. So we basically have everything we need there. This one, and this is our background, so I'm going to rename this background so we don't keep confusing ourselves. I'm going to put that up towards the top. We've got our Earth levels, and then we have our player, which is still right here. So I'm just going to go run this one more time. We'll leave our background up for now just because it doesn't really do anything. Let's actually, and that doesn't actually matter right now. Let's stop there for this time. In the next video, we're actually going to start animating a character here. Again, vote in the comments who you'd like to see us use. If there's a special 2D character you want us to use, vote down there. I'll take a look at the comments. If I can find a sprite for it, we can use it and get that animated so we might be able to jump on some of these platforms and blocks in the next video. I'll see you there.